Hello, welcome to my videos and my blog. In this time, I'm going to talk about the NFL 2024 season, Week 1 prediction, where finally the NFL is back and will start tomorrow with the Week 1. The 2024 season will start, and tomorrow we'll start with an amazing game. The reigning championship, the Chiefs, will play against the Kansas City, against the Baltimore Ravens. So this is a revenge for AFC championship game of this last January. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the week one, the game that will be played, and I'm going to give my prediction about each game. So let's start with the first game. Tomorrow we'll start, how I told you a few seconds ago, with the first Thursday night game and the first game of the season, where the reigning champion team, the Kansas City Chiefs, will receive the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City. And 2020 is their time. Remember that this is a revenge for what happened the last season, where the Chiefs defeated Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and the Chiefs, and later, 2 weeks later, the Chiefs defeated San Francisco in overtime, and they won a back-to-back title, the third title in 4 years, and the fourth in history. So the Kansas City Chiefs will look forward to win to the repeat and the fifth Super Bowl in its history. So about this game, this will be a tremendous game, and remember that in the beginning of the season is when the Kansas City Chiefs always start very slow, and they don't play a very great games, but in the end they are the favorite to win this year again. And the Ravens, in my opinion, the Ravens missed a lot of opportunities in the last game, in the AFC Championship game, because they deserved to win that game, but they made a lot of mistakes, and the Kansas City Chiefs took advantage of that, and they won the game. I think that this will be a very close game. I think that in this moment the Ravens are a little better than the Chiefs, but because the Chiefs are going to play in home, I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game by 3 or 1 goal or 1 point difference, and I think that this game is going to be defined in the last play of the game. And the second game, this is a history, because we have a game, the second game of the Friday in back-to-back season, where the Philadelphia Eagles will play against Green Bay Packers on Sao Paulo, Brazil. This game will be played this next Friday, and 2015 is third time. Remember that this is the second game, because the last game in the Thanksgiving, I think so, after the Black Friday is when was played the first Friday game in the NFL after more than 60 years, I think so. This game will be played in Brazil territory, where the Eagles will receive the Eagles will play as a home team, and the Packers as a away team. Remember that the last season, the Eagles finished as a second. They finished in the second set in the East NFC, but because where they were leading the NFL in the first 10 weeks, they were the favorite to repeat again the Super Bowl, trying to win the Super Bowl. But something happened with the Eagles in the last month in December, where they lost, I think, 5 of the last 6 games that they played. They were eliminated in the wild card against the Buccaneers. They were humiliated, and they lost the opportunity to repeat the Super Bowl. And the Packers did a surprise, because they finished in the second set in the North NFC with a record 9-8. Remember that they started to play very bad, but they reached the finals. They reached the divisional game against the 49ers, where they had the opportunity to win that game, but they couldn't, and they were eliminated in that round. So this will be a tremendous game, but to be honest, in my opinion, the Eagles are one of the favorites to represent the NFC to go to the Super Bowl 59. So I think that the Eagles are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference. And the Sunday, we'll start with the first Sunday of the week, where we'll have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in the first hour, in the first schedule, and 30 o'clock is their time. The first game will be the Saints against the Panthers. This is a divisional game. This game will be played on New Orleans. Remember that the last season, the New Orleans and the Patriots were eliminated to compete in the playoff. The Saints finished in the second place in the NFC South, and the Panthers were the worst team in the league. So this will be a close game because, to be honest, where it's always a divisional game, it's always tough and close. And also, I think that these two teams will be one of the two worst teams in the league. But I think that I see a little better or a little less worse as the Saints and the Panthers. So I think that this game, the Saints are going to win this game by 10 or 14 point difference. In the second game, another game played by two bad teams. The New York Giants will play against the Minnesota Vikings and New Jersey. New York or New Jersey. I don't know. Remember that the both teams didn't qualify to the last season to the playoffs, where the Giants finished with a record of 6-11, and the Vikings finished with finished with a record of 17. Remember that the Vikings had the opportunity they were favored to enter to the playoff, but Kirk Cousins got injured in the week 3 or 4, and in that moment the season was over, and the Vikings lost the opportunity to qualify to the playoffs. Remember that in this offseason the Vikings selected the Michigan quarterback Mike McCarthy, but he got injured 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, and he will miss the rest of the season. So in my opinion, the Vikings are not going to qualify to the playoffs. But in this game, I think that this, like the Saints against Panthers game, I think that both teams are very bad teams. So I think that in this moment the Vikings are the less worst team. They are less worst team than the Giants, and I think that the Vikings are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point difference. In another game, the Bengals will play against the Patriots, and this game will be played in Cincinnati. Remember that both teams didn't qualify to the playoffs last year. The Bengals finished with a record of 9-8, and the Patriots were the worst team in the AFC with a record of 4-13. The Bengals, remember that they were competitive, but Joe Burrow was injured in the week 7 or 8. Because he broke his right wrist, and in that moment the season was over. But remember that the Bengals play a very great football, and they were always competing. But the problem from the Bengals was that East Division, the AFC North, was very competitive because the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers qualified to the playoffs, and for that reason they didn't qualify. And the Patriots were the worst team in the AFC, the second worst team the third worst team in all the NFL. For that reason, they finished with a record of 4-13, and for that reason, they fired Bill Belichick. So it will be the first time in more than 20 years that Bill Belichick is not the Patriots head coach about this game. To be honest, Bengals won't have any problem because Bengals are one of the favorites to compete to win the Super Bowl and represent the AFC. So I think that the Bengals won't have any problem, and they will win this game by 14 or 17 point difference. In another game, the Atlanta Falcons will receive my Pittsburgh Steelers and Atlanta. And remember that the Falcons finished with a record of 7-10 for the third consecutive year, and for that reason they fired his head coach Arthur Smith. And the Steelers, for that reason, the Falcons sing the Kirk Cousins in the free agents, but in the same time they sing they got a quarterback, the Washington State, Washington quarterback, and let's see who is going to play. And by the Steelers side, they had a lot of problems the last season, but in the end they could qualify to the playoffs. They finished with a record of 10-7. They qualify as a last wild card in the AFC, but unfortunately they lost against the Buffalo Bills in the wild card run. Remember that the Steelers had a lot of problems in the quarterback room, where they used 3 quarterbacks, and that 3 quarterbacks in this moment are in the team. They moved to another teams. Pickett was moved on to Eagles. Trubisky, I think that he returned to Bills, and Rudolph was seen with the Tennessee Titans, and the Steelers got 3 quarterbacks. The quarterback one is Russell Wilson, and the second and the second is Justin Fields. So it looks like that the Steelers are a little better than the last season, and the Steelers seeing the Falcons former head coach Arthur Smith as his offense coordinator. So let's see about this game. I think that this will be a close game because it's always difficult to go to play to Atlanta. Even the Steelers always that go to Atlanta had an easy games, but I think that it will be a very close game, and I think that in my opinion the difference here is it will be the defense. So I think that this game will be win it by the Steelers defense, and I think that the Steelers are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point defense. Sorry. In another divisional game, the Indianapolis Colts will receive the Houston Texans and Indianapolis. Remember that Indianapolis finished with didn't qualify to the playoffs, and they finished with in the last position in the AFC South with in the third position in the AFC South with a record of 9-8. And the Houston Texans did a surprise. They won the AFC South and they reached the divisional round where they were eliminated by the Baltimore Ravens. So this will be an interesting game because remember that the last season Anthony Richardson was the Indianapolis quarterback, the starting quarterback, but he got injured in the week 5 or 6, and for that reason the Indianapolis Colts didn't qualify to the playoffs. So this will be an interesting game because I remember that CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson were the first and second NFL pick in the number one and second pick in the NFL 2023 draft. So this will be an interesting game. But I think that in this game it will be close. But I think that the Texans in this moment are better than the Colts. So I think the Texans are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point difference. In another game, the Buffalo Bills will receive the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo. Remember that the Buffalo won the AFC East, and they reached the divisional round where they lost against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Cardinals were one of the worst teams in the league. They didn't qualify to the playoffs, and they finished with a record of 4-13. About this game, I think that in this moment the Buffalo Bills are the favorites because they will play in home. In my opinion, they have better team than the Cardinals, and then there is always difficult to the West Coast team to go to travel to East and play in 13 o'clock Eastern time. So I think that the Bills are going to have an easy game and they will win this game by 14 or 7 point difference. And in another game, the Chicago Bears will play against the Tennessee Titans and Chicago Illinois. Remember that the Chicago Bears finished with a record of 7-10, and the Tennessee Titans finished with a record of 6-11. Both teams didn't qualify to the playoffs, and the Titans was a deception because they have the potential of the minimum where they were the favorite to win. The win is the AFC South Division, but they couldn't, and for that reason they fired his former head coach Callahan. I don't remember the name, and the Chicago Bears got the first pick because remember that it was tried because they got it by the first pick was by Carolina Panthers that were the worst team, but they remember that the Chicago Bears got it, and for that reason they selected the Caleb Williams. About this game, I think this will be a close game, a funny game. I think that these both teams will be one of the worst team in the league, but I think that the Titans will win this game. I think that by 3 or 7 point difference, and I think that this game will be defined in the last play of the game. And the last game of the first schedule of the 13 o'clock Eastern time, the Miami Dolphins will receive the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Miami, this is a Florida game, Florida teams game, where remember that the last season the Miami Dolphins were eliminated, qualified to the playoffs, and were eliminated in the wild card run against the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember the Miami Dolphins were leading the East Division, the AFC East, by more than 12-13 weeks, but in the last week they lost it against the Bills, and for that reason they failed to the 6th set. And the Jacksonville Jaguars were one of the decision because they lost they were in the same situation that the the Dolphins, because like the Dolphins, they were leading the East Division by 12, 13 weeks, and in the last week they lost it. They 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 lost it against the Texans, and for that reason they didn't qualify. So this will be an interesting game, but I think that in this moment the Dolphins are better than the Jaguars, and I think that the Dolphins are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference. And the games that will be played in the second schedule, and then 16:05 and 16:25 will have 4 games. The first game will be the Seattle Seahawks will receive the Denver Broncos and Seattle. Remember that both teams didn't qualify to the playoffs. The Seattle finished with a record 9-8, and the Broncos finished with a record 8-9. Remember that for that reason the Seattle Seahawks fired his former head coach, the Pete Carroll, because they didn't qualify to the playoffs, and the Denver Broncos decided to move on from Russell Wilson. That was a mistake. He was sent. He was a waiver, and the Steelers got him, and the Broncos select a new quarterback in the draft, Bo Nix. Let's see what happens. So about this game, I think this will be a close game. I think this will be can be a game of little points. So I think that the Broncos are going to win this game, but I think that this game could be defined in the last play of the game with a 1 or 3 point difference. The second game, in a divisional game, the Los Angeles Chargers will receive the Las Vegas Raiders and Los Angeles on Inglewood, California. Remember that both teams didn't qualify to the playoffs. The Raiders finished with a record of 8-9, and the Chargers finished with a record of 5-12. For this reason, the Chargers fired his former head coach, I don't remember the name, and they sing as a new head coach in the offseason to who is this man? This man that was the Michigan head coach. I don't remember the name. And the Raiders continue with the same quarterback, same head coach. About this game, I think that this game will be close. We will be very close and tough because it's a divisional game. But I think that the difference here is that the Chargers will play in home. So I think that the Chargers are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point difference, and I think that maybe this game could be defined in the last minutes or second of the game. In the another game, the Cleveland Browns will receive the Dallas Cowboys and Cleveland. About this game, remember that both teams qualified to the playoffs, but both teams were eliminated in the wild card run. The Browns finished with a record 11-6, and the Dallas Cowboys finished with a record 12-5. They won the NFC East division against all the probabilities, but they were humiliated by the Packers in the wild card run, and the Browns were also the same. They were defeated by the Houston Texans. About this game, I think that this is one of the best games of in the week, because both teams are, in my opinion, both teams will qualify to the playoffs. And about this game, this will be a close and slow game, but I think that in this moment the Cleveland Browns will have the advantage because they will play in home. So I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference, and this game can be defined in the last minutes of the game. And the last game of the second schedule, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will receive the Washington Commanders and Tampa Bay. Remember that the last season, the Tampa Bay won the NFC South with a record 9-8, and they reached the divisional round, but they lost against the Detroit Lions in the last minutes of the game. They lost that game because it was very close. And remember that the Commanders were one of the worst teams in the league. They were the second worst team in the league. They finished with a record of 14. I think that this game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won't have any problem. They will have an easy game, and they will win it by more than 14 point difference. And in the Sunday night game, we'll have a tremendous game. The Detroit Lions will receive the Los Angeles Rams, and Detroit, and 2020 is third time. Remember that this is a revenge from the Rams for what happened in the divisional run. Yes, in the divisional. See, in the divisional run, because in the divisional run, no, is in the divisional or no, after the divisional run. I don't remember, because it's the wild card, the divisional run. Well, it was a revenge for what happened in the what happened in the playoffs. I don't remember what is the round, the semifinals. I don't remember. It's a revenge of what happened in the playoffs, where the Detroit Lions defeated the Los Angeles Rams, and the Detroit Lions advanced to the NFC Championship game, and they lost it against the 49ers and in a very incredible way. About this game, I think that this game will be a close game, but I think that the Detroit Lions will have the advantage because they will play in home, and I think that the Detroit Lions are better than the Los Angeles Rams, and because the Lions are one of the favorite NFC teams to represent to reach the Super Bowl this year. So I think that the Lions are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference. And the game that will close this week in the Monday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers will receive the New York Nets and Santa Clara, California, and 2015 Eastern Time. Remember that the 49ers are the runner-up team, where they lost the Super Bowl 58 against the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime. Remember that again the 49ers waste an opportunity because they were leading the game in the halftime by 10 point difference, and in the beginning of the end of the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl they were leading, but they couldn't close the game. And the New York Jets were the exception the last season because they didn't qualify to the playoffs, but because remember that the Aaron Rodgers got injured in the first game of the week. Let's hope that he doesn't injure in the first week of the season. So about this game, I think that the 49ers are one of the favorites to again repeat the Super Bowl. So I think that the 49ers won't have any problem, and they will win this game by 10 or 14 point difference. So in this video, I got my prediction about what I think is going to happen in the big one in the NFL 2024 season. Let's see how many games I am correct. So this is all for today. See you next video. Jibra.